Hi guys, I'm Woodcraft Hamster and I thought I'd do another quick carving video today. Now you may have seen my series on carving a bowl from end grain and the challenges and the issues that we've had with that. So you might say I'm a bit of a glutton for punishment for doing something very similar. Now what I've got is just another piece of birch, same type of wood as I always use, and what I'm going to try and do with this is make a cup in a very similar way to the way we made the bowl. And what I'm going to do, I'm basically just going to put a borehole through the top of this wood to about probably 1/2 to 3/4 of the way down, and I'm going to use that as sort of my guide and certainly a good way to get rid of a lot of material quickly that I can then start kind of opening up and widening with my gouges and my tucker cams, etc. So what I'll do, I'm going to clamp this into my, my carving bench, and I'll introduce you to my secret weapon. Right guys, so this is my wood brace. It's a very old-fashioned sort of carpenter's drill, and what I have on here is something a little bit special. This is an auger bit. Obviously you can see, sort of, let's say in comparison to my arm, where's a good angle for this? There we go. So it's essentially the length of my forearm, and it's obviously a very wide gauge bit. I'm not sure the exact width of it off the top of my head. But again, you look at it sort of in comparison to my thumb, it's a very wide bit. The benefit of this is it will give us a very big hole, and the bigger the hole, the less work and the more waste material we get rid of at the very start. Now this this setup here is not ideal. Obviously this is a round log clamped into sort of a flat side, so it may well have a bit of movement, it may be a couple of false starts, but what I'm going to do is basically bore a hole, as I say, probably about just after halfway, and we'll see what we get from there. Right, well that took all of about a minute, I suspect, and we basically removed quite a lot of material in that very short space of time. Certainly in comparison to if we were using maybe a gouge or something like that. Now this hole here, lovely smooth hole, brilliant guide for widening this out with our other tools. And if I take my finger here, you can see it goes all the way down to my second knuckle. We are going to make this cup a little bit deeper than that, but what I don't want to do is put too much of a hole in here to begin with. We can always sort of smooth and open that out with the other tools later. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to clamp this back in, I'll move the camera around a little bit, and we'll have a look at opening this out. Right then guys, well I've had to balance you quite precariously on my carving bench to give you a sort of fairly good view of this, so hopefully there won't be too much wobbling around. And what I'm going to be using here, rather than going straight in for a gouge, you may have seen my previous video on my new tucker cam. This is my 50mm version, the slightly smaller one than the first one that I did a video on, and these are absolutely brilliant. This is the long handle version that I put on myself so I can give it a two-handed grip and kind of make this sort of rocking, scooping motion. And the idea is, all I want to be doing is just removing some of the waste wood. Start off from round the side of the hole that you've made, like so. And again, the problem with this piece of wood is that it is partly seasoned, in the sense that I cut this some time ago and it's just been sitting around in my workshop, kind of very slowly drying out. But again, this tucker cam, in comparison to say a gouge, is just so much easier to use. It's less stress on your hands. Although it takes slightly smaller carvings or chippings out, it's just a much nicer tool to be using. And again, this is going to take me some time, but what I want to start doing is, once I've got a nice sort of bit of material taken out around here, and you can see where I'm going with this, I can then actually get to the inside edge and start sort of scooping out from the inside outwards. Again, one of the big benefits of this particular tool is that by using this from the beginning, and as long as you're able to keep it fairly even, you can keep sort of just literally going round through a complete 360 degrees, so going straight round in a circle like this, and you're basically keeping everything completely even. So as again, if I was using a gouge, I'd be coming in sort of here, then here, then here, and so on and so on. You'd never get that kind of uniform circle. Although it's not perfect, you just wouldn't get anything close to this with a gouge. Now again, I don't know if you can see this, but my handle is actually turning on the Twicker cam here. Now I've only recently put this handle on, and it's still a sort of slightly green piece of wood, so it hasn't shrunk down and sort of clamped onto it yet. I could put some kind of adhesive, maybe some sort of epoxy resin or something like that to hold it in. I'm really loath to do that unless I really have to. Most of my tools have just got sort of push fit handles on, and again, I could have heated the handle up and burned it in, but I didn't really see the point. Obviously you can see this is still a little bit green here, so hopefully as this dries out it will start to shrink and hold on to it. If it doesn't, I need to put a little bit of adhesive in there, then I will do, but for the odd turn here and there, I'm not really too bothered. Right guys, well, I'm beginning to feel that the curse of the end grain is striking again. I've just had to saw off this top section. Hopefully you can see sort of just about here. There's quite a bad split developing, and I didn't want to leave it in there and let it work its way down. I mean, if I pull on that now, it's practically coming apart in my hand. So yeah, I've taken this off. Maybe this is a new technique, maybe this is a way of making bangles or jewellery for someone, if that's your kind of thing that you like, but for me, I've just got rid of this now. And also what I'll do, if I move you a little bit over here, you can kind of see where we're getting with this. The bowl is sort of still probably about this deep at the moment. Obviously that'll widen up and give us a little bit more to play with. I could extend it down. I have left a fair bit of material at the bottom down here, so that I can go deeper if I want to, and I may well do. But yeah, so far it seems to be going okay. I'm not sure this is the right piece of wood. You can see some sporting in there, that's kind of getting chewed up a little bit as I'm doing this. But all in all, it's kind of working okay. And what I've found, just for anyone that's sort of interested, so I've got my two Twicker cams here. I've got the larger 65mm and then the smaller 50. The 50 has been really useful, getting in right down to where I put the bore hole, where this one couldn't quite reach, and then I'm using the bigger one to sort of widen out the hole. And the thing is, I mean, I'm by no means an expert in the use of these. They're a traditional Welsh tool to my understanding, and they can be used in lots of different ways. But what I have found with all the things I've used them for so far is that once you sort of work out what it is you're making and what technique and what sort of rhythm you need to get into for making that particular item, you do sort of build up this, I suppose rhythm is the right word really, and you get into the swing of it, and then you kind of just fly along without really thinking about it. The first sort of couple of minutes you're sort of trying to work out where you're going to get purchase. You'll find that you're snagging up on things, or that you're putting it at the wrong angle and it's not cutting the way you want it to. But as soon as you get that rhythm, it begins to work really, really well. And you know, I've been sitting here for the last sort of 20 minutes or so, just literally doing nothing but this. And all it's doing, although the shavings, and I don't know if you can appreciate that on the camera, but these shavings are very thin. You know, there's not a lot of material being taken off per sort of sweep of the blade. But what I am able to do is just kind of sit here and quite happily just keep going round and round and round. Very little effort, very little sort of strength involved, unlike if you were using an axe or maybe a gouge. And I can then produce quite a large number of shavings very quickly. But I'm not removing massive amounts of material. So I'm going to sort of sit here probably another 10 or 15 minutes just carrying on with this. Once I get to a point where I've widened it enough with the smaller twicker cam, I'll move over to the larger one, and again just sort of widen things out, and again exactly that same motion, that same rhythm. And it all seems to be working pretty well. So what I'll probably do, guys, I'll give this another sort of 5 or 10 minutes and come back and we'll see where we've got to. Right then guys, so that's it done for the time being. I'm going to take this and put it in a plastic bag and let it sort of start to dry out very, very slowly. Time will tell whether or not this survives or not. Just so you can see where we've got to for today, I've cleaned out to the bottom of the bowl. There's still quite a few tool marks in there, but I've gone right down to where that drill, or that auger bit, sorry, has gone down, so it's nice and smooth and sort of rounded in there. What I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the bark on for now. And I'll probably come back to this tomorrow in a couple of days time, just once it's started drying out a little bit more. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the bark off, I'm going to smooth down the sides so they're a nice uniform thickness, and then put it back into a plastic bag, cross my fingers and hope that it survives. But I hope this was useful, guys. Maybe give you a little bit of food for thought if you're thinking about starting a new carving project. Hit like and subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I hope you'll all come back and join me next time for part 2. Thanks, guys.